I'm going live, Jess. Get out of the basement. I'm nervous. Oh, hey, Tom.
Hey, what's going on?
I know the Packers season, not great, but it's turning around right now, looking good right now.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where you legitimately wondered if Condoleezza Rice could come in and save your team as the head coach?
No.
Because I'm thinking it's Condi time, baby.
Oh, baby. We here.
We steer.
You in the right direction, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna, and this is GPS. And I gotta, we're just gonna jump right into it. I'm kind of, I'm upset, Brandon. I am upset at the Denver Broncos organization.
Why?
And listen.
We're cute.
No. It's not because, talking about bringing Condoleezza Rice in. It's not that. It's not the fact that, they've been very good / bad to you. Congratulations on trending for a second time, the second time ever. Let's go with the new worst game. Congratulations on that. It's not that you're getting record views. It's not that you're less than 2,000 subscribers away from 350K. So make sure you go subscribe to Brandon Perna, and that's good. It's not any of that. It's that those bastards fired Nathaniel Hackett right after our show, Brandon.
I know.
Right after. They couldn't have done it, before. They couldn't have done it during. They did it right after. And I'm just saying, it was very rude of them.
Yeah. You know how funny it would have been for that to happen during the show?
We were having a conversation literally about that.
Yeah. It was like, hey, do you think Hackett's going to survive? It's like, after this game, probably not. Thought he had a little bit of a chance. What I've learned is I think the NFL has a personal vendetta against specifically you and me in terms of inconvenient timing of any sort of major news.
I agree with that.
First of all, it was like I was already behind because the Broncos played on Christmas. I streamed, but I wasn't going to do a recap of the game. I know you worked through it.
No, who did that?
Yeah.
Christmas, for God's sake.
But I was like, my Monday is already backed up, right? I'm already constipated. And now the NFL's like, here you go. Why don't you eat a whole Chipotle burrito and see how you can process that in a short amount of time? Thank God for Will Keys and Johnny Barks to help me through getting a recap up, getting Nathaniel Hackett fired, and then best and worst was a day late. But I was thinking, Tom, Christmas, stream the game. Monday morning, we do GPS. I do a Broncos recap. I podcast for the Broncos emergency Hackett episode, and I get up a Hackett firing episode. And I was literally thinking, man, I just worked my ass off like a lot. And in my head, I go, but you still didn't do as much as Tom. I was like, you probably
a different bar, buddy.
The most insane, one of the most insane 18-hour stretches of the season. And I go, still wasn't as hard as Tom's Sunday through Tuesday. So that didn't make me feel better, but I thought about you.
But you got more success than I did, so that should make you feel better.
Nah, I mean, I root for us equally.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's still, like, you're getting the numbers and everything like that.
Don't care.
You said you wanted to hit 350K. I remember you wanted to hit 350K.
I did want to hit 350. I was giving myself to the end of the playoffs. Now I'm like, holy shit. I'm gonna
you gonna get it now, baby. You gonna get it
by the end of December.
Well, I'm just gonna
by New Year.
Just gonna take a grand little look here, just at another channel, just for.
What are we doing?
8,000 more, or 10,000 more. Okay, good. Nothing. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about it because while Brandon Perna did put out a lot of stuff, go check all of that stuff out. I kind of want to just like go like after the aftermath and look through the rubble of going like, okay, what do we do now? Because it wasn't just Nathaniel Hackett is fired. It's who they offered the job to, which I think was the right pick, who then said, nay, no thanks. So let's work on the defense. Then it was who they brought up, time manager. And then on top of that, it's looking of, hey, we're going to put our support behind our GM, but also the new head coach is going to basically be right under the owner. So that's what's real interesting. Enjoy that game, Andy. So
yeah,
things are rough in Bronco land.
They're not good. I'll say they are. You ever hear the phrase worst case scenario?
Yes.
We are living it. We made a big splashy trade.
Yep.
Got the coach we wanted.
Yep.
And we are literally worst case scenario. All right. So Nathaniel Hackett gets fired 2 weeks before the end of the season. That's not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
Whoa, Russ Wilson hurt his legacy.
Yeah, as I said, I think it's Russ because if Ryan, like, they're like, he could be good, like, he'll be solid. He just fell off cliff again.
Yeah, and you know, Matt Ryan he's had like a lot of turnovers. And obviously things have not worked out. But it's like the
culture's bad.
Are bad. And Ryan's still like, I don't know.
They didn't bring him in as a savior, right? Like they're not making a splashy trade. They're not, paying millions and millions and millions of dollars for him. It's kind of like, it's Matt Ryan, so like that trade was significantly less. And like that pickup was a lot less than Russell Wilson.
Here, this is a good way to explain it. Do you know how I know it's Russell Wilson's legacy got dinged more than Matt Ryan's? Because the coach that got fired in Indy because of their performance on the field is one of the top guys the Broncos want. And the coach that got fired in Denver will be lucky if he gets a job after this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hackett will probably never get another head coaching job, but maybe he's just more suited to be like a offensive coordinator. And I fully expect him back with the Packers. Maybe
as a consultant, probably potentially
consultant. They could bring him in right away. It's like when Josh McDaniels got fired from the Rams, and the Patriots said, "Oh no, you just come back here and help us in this playoff run."
Yep,
I could see the same thing.
It could,
but here's what's okay. So Hackett gets fired, right? We missed that. We missed that news. Whatever. Not a huge surprise. Ejiro Evero saying no. A little bit of a surprise, but mostly seems like a smart move for him because he's going to get all of the
head coaching
opportunities. So they named Jerry Rosburg as the interim head coach, who is the guy they brought in to make sure Hackett didn't,
Nathaniel Hackett
timeouts every week.
Yeah,
right. And then they fired special teams coordinator Dwayne Stukes and offensive line coach Butch Berry. So both of us wanted a Berry gone this season. So we have that in common, Tom. And I think the Butch Berry firing, the one really big mistake Nathaniel Hackett made when he took the job in Denver was getting rid of offensive line coach Mike Munchak and replacing him with Butch Berry. It was clearly an issue outside of the injuries, but I didn't see those other firings happening like right now. Like, I guess you look at it in a way where things can't get worse. So yeah, let's get rid of the special teams guy that's not working. Let's get rid of the offensive line coach that's not working. And let's just have less coaches to get through the rest of the season.
Well, I mean, so listen, like years ago, the Packers dealt with this though, because Mike McCarthy, like it wasn't a good season. It was going rough. We got beaten by the Cardinals at home and they fired Mike McCarthy with just a couple of games left in the season. And it was kind of just like, and I didn't like that, like Mike McCarthy, his time definitely had come in Green Bay, like Dom Capers is the DC before him, what have you. But Mike McCarthy did so much for the organization. At some point I was like, hey, like we need to, like at least like have like kind of that respect, but unfortunately like that's the business, so
yeah.
at the end of the day, they fired him. So like here, it just looks like, okay, well, if we are going to get rid of Nathaniel Hackett, this guy who is going to make so much guaranteed money, right? Like this hurts. Like this does not feel good. Well, we might as well rip off the Band-Aid and fire these lesser coaches too. Why are we going to wait if we're already like, trying to chop the head off the top of the snake?
Yeah. Walmart came in and basically said, yeah, we don't care how much money we need to eat. This is not working. And here's what does concern me. When the Walton Pinner group took over for the Broncos, they have Rob Walton is the de facto owner, right? But really the team's going to be run by Greg Pinner, his son-in-law, essentially, I think it's his son-in-law. So Greg Pinner, he's the guy doing the real operations there.
Mm-hmm.
And our question as Broncos fans was like, how hands-on is he going to be? A guy who isn't in the NFL circles, doesn't have the NFL experience. How hands-off is he going to be? And is he going to just let GM George Paton run things? And initially they did. And they said that's what was going to happen. And already we got this shift. New head coach reporting directly to Pinner. So that's a big change. It in a way kind of neuters George Paton a little bit. At least one testicle. We'll call it a one testicle neutering of George Paton, because and it won't surprise me honestly if they just fire George Paton after the season if there's some other GM that they decide they want.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Maybe it's for the better. Maybe that's what they need. I don't know. But here's the other thing that's a real reality is they could move on from Russell Wilson this offseason.
They could. So they can come after June 1st.
Yeah. It's bad. It means the next season's going to be bad. But which would be okay because then maybe they're in a position to draft a guy in a good draft class. We might just have to eat 2023 as well. But to believe that the team would think and possibly actually move on from Russell Wilson this offseason, asinine. But I think it could happen. I'm not saying it will.
Well, it could. Well, because you had the reports coming out say that they think like Russ is fixable, right? But that was the last thing we talked about on GPS on Monday. Like it was a freaking omen. I was like, well, what do you have to look forward to this offseason knowing Russell Wilson's still going to be your quarterback? And like it got really depressing and sad. Yeah, but it was kind of like, well, I don't know. And that's the point that I was making. And I tweeted about it and we talked about it on GPS, that it was, if you're a brand new head coach, one, now I'm concerned because you're basically just going to be listening to the owner. It's basically like a Jerry Jones situation. But in terms of, you like trying to get in like massive talent, like let's just throw names out there. And I don't think it's going to happen, but like Sean Payton, right? Sean Payton ain't coming to freaking Denver to be like, yeah, let's coach up Russell Wilson. I know that there's like ties back there in the future, but like, unless he thinks, like, if you had to pick between Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson of like, hey, who do I want as my spry young QB?
I mean, I would pick Russell Wilson.
Of course you would. So I think at this point though, like, I don't know who they're going to be able to attract that's going to bring in the level of talent that's needed. But at the same time, the Broncos are more than just a new head coach away from being successful. So,
yeah,
just because they fired Hackett doesn't mean like...
No, that's basically what I've said over the last couple of days is like, I'm in no way sold that just by firing Hackett, you're going to fix this team. Because everything does go through Russ, right, at this point. And that was a good point. Like, that's Adam Peters. He got away and went over to San Francisco. Like, John Lynch wanted that guy. That was the super chat. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to make a change at GM right now. They might give Payton the opportunity to fix it. And I think they should keep George Paton. I mean, outside of obviously Russ not working, I like what he's... Okay, Russ not working, not taking Justin Fields. Those are two big whiffs.
And also not calling Kurt Benkert.
Yeah, and not calling Kurt. But like,
3 strikes.
he's been solid in the drafts. I think he's smart. I would give him the opportunity. But in terms of a big coach, like in the video, I said they're not getting Sean Payton. Not going to happen. After listening to Greg Pinner talk, I think they'll go after whoever they want, and they'll make them an offer that they can't refuse. Hey, it's me, South Carolina Jersey Mike, coming in here, make them an offer they can't refuse. So I think Peyton's a possibility. I think Harbaugh's a possibility. I think they're going to say, here's a check. Tell me how many zeros you want on there to be the coach of this team, and we're going to make it happen, because they said they're going to give the head coach any resource they need to succeed. And I think if you are a guy who's had Sean Payton's success, you've had Harbaugh's success, that you'll look at that opportunity, as bad as it is with Russ, as a team that's willing to get away from him so you can build the team the way you want it, or you have to be confident enough in your game plan to build a winning formula with your offense around Russ.
So that being said, I think it's okay, because you're kind of implying that you could get an experienced good coach, because they're going to throw a lot of money at them, right?
Money, resources, power. Like, they're going to, I think it's, if they're reporting directly to the owner, they have arguably more power than the GM. So I think that's something to be thought of. And again, on Monday, I didn't think Harbaugh was a real possibility, and I didn't think Sean Payton had any possibility. Now I think there's a small possibility of Sean Payton, and I think a bigger chance for Harbaugh. And I don't think Harbaugh would want to leave where he's at. Like, I don't think it makes sense for him to do it. Okay? I'm not even trying to curse Michigan.
He just hates the state of Michigan, folks. He just does not like the state of Michigan. That's what it's coming down to. He's cursing now their college teams.
Hey, what if we take Jim Harbaugh, Michigan, okay, state of Michigan, and it's going to lead to the Broncos' massive success, but they lose the Super Bowl to the Lions? Will you take that deal, Michigan? Now, answers.
Lock them in.
Can I phone a friend?
So, because I do want to talk about the actual Hackett firing, but the point that I was making is, like, you could get an experienced coach like that, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it limits your search, because if you are a young head coach, right, and like this would be your first head coaching gig, I don't know if you want to go to the Denver Broncos, because it has a good chance of blowing up in your face and it's going to impact you getting a job in the future. I would be concerned about that, right? In that it's, it's not a stepping stone. Like, it needs to be a destination. So it needs to be like someone who has the resume that's like, if this blows up, I'm just going to make a lot of money and it'll work out, right? So, like, I won't get hired again, likely, or it'll be a while, but I'm going to give the opportunity cost, right, is too great. So I just think that, if you're a young, spry, up and coming coach, I don't think you do, because the reason being is, like, Israel didn't take it, and like, he's going to get it, because I think those last 3 games or 2 games, wherever we're at, they might go poorly, and like, they doesn't want to, I don't know, like, mark up his resume a little bit and just be like, hey, because you could get the money based off of the unknown, right? Nathaniel Hackett, he was a head coach previously. It didn't work out super hot, right? It did for like a season. Then it blew up. He goes to Green Bay. He has all this success. And they're like, oh, we don't know how he's going to be as a head coach, but let's throw a lot of money at him because we think he's going to be successful. Boom, right? It's every Bill Belichick head coach. It's all like the Sean McVay. It's all the Shanahan trees. So, like, Evro's looking at this going like, well, I'm not going to like let the cat out of the bag just yet. I'm not going to show my cards just yet, because I'd rather go in with more money and like them having the unknown, like, is he going to be great or not? So,
it's, I think they'll interview 1 or 2 maybe young head coaches, but I think what they've learned from this season is they want an experienced person. Dan Quinn was like option 1B last year, we all thought it was his job. But, then Hackett got it. So I think Dan Quinn's still a possibility. There's outliers out there like Bruce Arians is kind of a fringe guy if he wants to get back into coaching, because I think everybody believes Brady gave him one of these. Get the hell out of here, buddy. I'm going to play worse without you, but I don't care. I think I've seen Bill Belichick linked to my football team. So let's get wild. Let's project Bill Belichick to the Broncos. The Patriots, are they ready to move on from Bill? Is it time for a change? Oh, he would be made the offer that would be unrefusable.
You know what,
we all know he has power there.
Dude, that LQ, that's good. What about Rich Bisaccia?
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's going to get it, but I've thought about Rich. Thought about the Rich Bisaccia.
I mean, you need somebody with like morale and like the players love him. So that's what I wanted to get out, talking about Parsons will follow Dan Quinn. Ooh.
Yeah, well, I like alluded to that too, where like you get Dan Quinn, maybe you get Micah Parsons in a couple of years because he loves Dan Quinn so much.
Because that worked with Hackett and Rodgers.
I'm not saying that's the only reason.
You tried to take him from me. I haven't forgotten, Brandon.
And you know what? I hate that narrative. I hate that narrative. Like,
no, I know you do. I'm saying you
away from Hackett. Like, it's just a slap into the face to Hackett.
You won. Go to Arizona.
Arizona. Well.
Brian,
can I succeed with a well, wait. Sean Payton, if he goes to Denver or Arizona, could prove that he could win with an even shorter quarterback than Drew Brees. That Hall of Fame, Sean Payton, guaranteed. My name isn't spelled with a U, first of all. The enemy's not getting the gig, guys.
There you go. Saban it, defensive coordinator. You crush it. Anyway, but so for Nathaniel Hackett, because there was that, like, why is he getting fired now? Like, why aren't you just letting for the end? Is it sending a message? What have you? I don't even think it's necessarily that you were blown out on Christmas. Like, that didn't help, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a mix of the whole season, how it's gone. You get blown up on Christmas. But then, like, all the stuff of, like, players fighting one another, players fighting the Rams. I think, like, you can blame a lot on Russell Wilson. You can't blame that on Russell Wilson, because that comes down to, like, having control over your team and, like, having a decent enough culture that they're not fighting each other and or the opposing team after the game.
Yeah, it was a bad look. Here, let me find the tweet from Vic Lombardi, because he summed it up pretty good.
Anyone with a pulse, sports. You know what? Todd Downing. What if you get Todd Downing and Greg Roman be co-head coaches? Get Joe Barry too as DC. But that was the point though that I was making. Is like, it was like, oh man, like, why? But then you see what happens, and like, you see also, if I'm not mistaken, and you're the Broncos fan, so you would know this better than I did. Last year, like, you were pretty good when it came to penalties, yeah. Like, you were pretty low. Like, we're pretty disciplined
leading
team.
the NFL in penalties like we are this year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it took everything and made it worse. The defense was good, but like, it just made everything worse. And it's just like, hey, like, you gotta move on.
Yeah. This was Vic Lombardi's tweet. It says, Broncos fire Hackett. You can lose. You can't get embarrassed while you lose. You can have players fighting, or you can't have players fighting on the sideline. You can't have 20,000 no-shows at Mile High. You can't do and say the same thing every week. You can't become a mockery on national television. You just can't. So I think that's pretty accurate. Like, you can lose. You can have a bad season as a head coach. Yeah. But when you are under the microscope and it's every week, it's the same story, you're continuing to get just roasted by everyone. The narrative around your team is as bad as it's ever been that I can remember, right? Like, I don't remember any season, and there's been a couple bad ones in there, where there's been this much scrutiny on the team. Mm-hmm. And obviously we live in a little bit different world now with social media, but Woo! We might as well be the completely defeated Lions and Browns at this point. Like, that's how much of a joke the Broncos have become this year. And I think the new ownership is just going to rip off the Band-Aid, and we'll see what happens, which sucks. But in terms of being interesting, this offseason, next offseason,
Jefferson
I can
too.
put a little check mark and say it's going to be fun for this team because I don't know what's going to happen, Tom.
So, and that's the thing too. There's never going to be, the GM is never going to come out and say this. The owner's never going to come out and say this. Be like, hey guys, like, listen, 2023 is going to suck, but then we're going to be like in a good position to go and get a QB. No one is ever going to say that because they still need ticket sales. They need the fans to invest in the season. But that was my overall point. I don't know as a fan how you can invest in Russell Wilson after this season. And I'm not trying to do a knee jerk, like you need to fight, like, you need to cut him right now. And, you need to like swallow the pill. But at the same time, the worst thing that you can be is mediocre. And you know this, right? Like that, because you had years of that in which it wasn't even like really bad. So you get a top 5 pick. It's mediocrity. And if you're mediocre next year and that gets you, and you're like, well, Russell Wilson's not the answer. And crap, we can't draft a franchise QB. And that was my point to the Lions, is that you're going to have like a top 5 pick because of the Rams. And if you're a Lions fan and Lions owners, like, they're not planning to be in the top 5 again for the next few years, unless something is going really, really wrong. So you have an opportunity to take it. If you're the guy that you want is there, take a shot. And he can be a project QB because like he can sit behind Jared Goff and learn. So
their picks at 7 now.
Oh,
damn. The Rams refuse to
Oh,
lose to
because
the
they
Broncos.
lost. Oh, no.
Broncos really screwed the Lions, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah. I said I gotta lose to a star named Patrick twice a year already.
Yep.
And now I'm getting torched by Patrick Star from Nickelodeon.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Nickelodeon's not holding the punches. We're getting beat up by children. The Broncos are.
They don't. I mean, so you have to try and compete with everything unless you literally cut Russell Wilson post June 1st and just go, listen, gotta do what you gotta
do. Look, here's the thing. Russ was bad this year. No getting around it. I think based on his resume, based on what he's done in the NFL, you keep him this year. One, there's money. Cut him a year after this. I think it's just a little less tragic on the pocketbook. But I do think like because the Broncos can't draft their quarterback in the future. Well, maybe, like, who knows? They have the Niners pick. Every year we think like the top 2 QBs are going to be the best in the draft, but maybe like, hey, into the first round, there's a quarterback we like. I don't know. If Russell Wilson has a good run game, an offensive line, I think he can be an effective quarterback. I don't think he can ever be Russell Wilson that, we remember. But if he's as bad as he is this year, let's just say Russell Wilson's worse next year. That helps the Broncos. Like, him coming back and being horrible puts him in position to build for their future.
Correct.
So that's why I bring him back for 2023.
Are you mediocre though? Like, that's the problem. Okay, you're running the risk of like, do you think you can compete with this team right now and like make a playoff spot? You know what I mean? So like, it's either you're really bad or mediocre, and mediocre would be real bad.
No, I think he's either, because like if he's having success, it means the team is healthy. It means the offensive line's good and they figured out how to run the ball effectively. Whether that's Russell Wilson, you got to have a quarterback. Like, are they going to just like, if you get a Teddy Bridgewater-esque QB, you're going to be mediocre again. You know what I mean? If you bring in, I don't know, a Gardner Minshew or if you start Brett Rippon next year and those things are working, you're going to be mediocre. So you might as well be mediocre with Russell Wilson versus somebody else, or good. But most likely, let's just say he's
next
horrible.
Season, the dead cap is $107 million.
So does it make more sense to cut him this season?
No, this season is 124. That's why it'd be post June 1st.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a lot of money. But my point that I'm trying to make after you're right there is that with Russell Wilson, you're saying if he could just be efficient because it's relying on the run game, it's relying on the offensive line, then he does not justify that contract in any way, shape, or form. And a healthy O-line and good run game might make that team mediocre with a bad QB. So either way, I think you look at unless Russell Wilson balls out next year, I think he's done. Because he has to, because you can't justify paying that much money for him to suck. Because it's overall just going to hurt your team, and it's going to hurt your ability even to move on.
No, I mean, I think it's easier to move on from him after the 2023 season.
Tony Grossi.
I don't think it really, I don't think it matters. Like the point we're both arriving at is the Broncos are royally screwed and royally fucked. They're both. It's not one or the other, Tom. I think both.
This might sound really harsh, but I think that there is some comparisons. You guys are basically like going to be the Cardinals next year, and they're not going to have their QB because he like blew up his ACL. You're not going to have a QB because it's Russell Wilson. But like, you know what I mean by that though? Is like you're likely both going to have new head coaches. You kind of just don't know what direction you're going to go in. The offense, who the hell knows?
Yeah. I was thinking about the Cardinals, and the reason I was thinking about the Cardinals was their whole situation is equally bad, if not optically worse than the Broncos right now. Because
optically, yes.
Don't get me wrong. I think there's a much bigger upside moving forward with Kyler Murray than Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I just think you can win with Kyler. He's a better quarterback. They both have these weird character flaws, right? Russell Wilson's whatever he is, and Kyler's off-putting and maybe arrogant, doesn't really want to work with everybody. But outside of the QB situation, they got to fire Cliff Kingsbury. We know that. Outside of that, though, GM Steve Keim steps down. We're like, oh, it's health reasons. And then you hear maybe the person who accused their was it their offensive line coach, the woman who accused him of groping her in Mexico, was actually Steve Keim, and they threw that guy under the bus. Like that whole situation is just weird, and I think it's a little bit worse than where the Broncos are at. But I was like, man, both these teams, everything is not working right now.
Again, it's just a matter. See, here's the thing. This is going to sound really harsh, and I kind of mean it.
Hey,
this is not for you. I feel like if the Cardinals fire Cliff Kingsbury, that is going to regain some trust from the fan base. You know what I mean? Because the fan base just wants him out. And so they go get a head coach. You're like, okay, like, let's see how it's going to be. It's going to suck because we know we're not going to be great because Kyler Murray is not going to be playing, right? So, like, there goes our explosive offense. We're going to be rolling with a backup. Like, that's just the way it's going to be. With you guys, what do you do to regain some of that fan base's trust? Because this went as poorly as it could. This was the worst case scenario. This went as poorly as it was. It wasn't like Hackett was good, Wilson was bad, or Wilson was good and Hackett was like, it wasn't that. They both sucked. And so now it's like, how do I bring in the fan base again for 2023 going, this is why you should come play a game, right? Because it's the Lombardi tweet that you just said. You can't have 20,000 seats like not filled.
Yeah,
so how do you
that's never happened here
again? Like, how do you do it?
First of all, everybody who attends the Broncos game gets a $100 Walmart gift card. That's the first thing you do. Second thing you do is you sit down with Russell Wilson and you say, if you want to continue to play quarterback here, you got to change. You got to change how you approach everything you do, because what you're doing now isn't working. You're going to have to listen to the coach that comes in, And that's how you got to be a team player. If that's not going to work for you, we're going to move on. And I think the Broncos have one of the few ownership groups now that can say that and not really give a shit. You know what I mean? Like Mark Davis couldn't do that. Like they don't have that type of money to just eat. Like Russ I feel like 90% of the other situations be like, I have the power here. He no longer has that power. And I think if he's willing to change his approach, maybe they have an offensive coordinator and head coach who understands how to scheme for him, that you can win football games. But I don't know. And yeah, I've defended Russ this year. I've seen him play portions of good football. Physically, he still has the tools. The Christmas game the interceptions were bad, but that was kind of an outlier in terms of week to week performance. It's mostly just like he's not turning the ball over, but the offense is doing nothing. And he's officially the most sacked quarterback. Well, the Broncos have given up more sacks than any team in the NFL. Yeah. So that's followed him as well. And everything I tried to defend about Russ looks like it's true. It looks like it's true. Everything everybody said criticizing him looks like it's true. And it's at a point where I don't know if it can be fixed or rectified.
Well, so it's interesting because Rodgers and Benkert both spoke on this, right? Because Benkert legit said hey, it just wasn't a good fit. Like you have Russell Wilson and that's a problem. But Kurt Benkert has sung Nathaniel Hackett's praises. Rodgers went on Pat McAfee yesterday, sung his praises and was like, give him time, what have you. We'll see how things go in terms of bringing him back on board, what have you. But all the players loved him. They did not in Denver. And I'm wondering why. Is it just because he didn't have that leadership role in Green Bay?
No, the players liked Hackett. I think the players liked Hackett. And I think that got lost a little bit because the players were fighting on the sideline last week.
Yeah.
He might have, quote, lost control of the locker room. But I think the one thing that he did well this year, up until the Christmas game, was this team kept showing up to play every week, even when the stuff got bad. And there was a report in the middle of the season, I forget, that the players all liked Hackett and everybody just wasn't sold on Russell Wilson. So
oh man,
I think
that's worse.
In the media, Nathaniel Hackett's first 2 weeks where the bad decision making was put on blast, just stuck with him. And the fact that the offense never got really better through the course of the season, and he kept having to demote himself in terms of responsibilities.
Correct.
Was a bad look in terms of, hey, maybe he's not the best head coach, but it wasn't that players didn't like him. So I want to be fair to Hackett at least there.
Okay, so no, I appreciate that correction. So it just didn't have control, didn't discipline, what have you. And I feel like that makes it worse. Because if you're saying you're the players, right? We're talking about the fan base, but now we're talking about the players. Why the F? Do you want to come back and be like, oh, I'm going to stay with the guy that they got rid of the guy I liked. I know we suck, but they got rid of the guy I liked, and now they kept the guy that I hate.
Yeah, I mean it's not a good situation. It's bad, Tom.
Broncos country, let's unionize.
Ooh. Yeah. And even the fight on the sideline between Reisner and Rippon. Reisner talked about it later. Obviously, it's a bad look, but they got over it. During the game, they apologized to both Reisner and Rippon apologized to each other during the game, and was Reisner was like, I misunderstood what you said. Rippon was like, I shouldn't have approached you that way. Those are two guys who I don't think you'll ever see that happen again. It was just, there's just a lot of all these guys are carrying the shit and the weight of the criticism through the season, the frustration of losing. I don't even care that they got into it. Part of me likes that a little bit more because it lets you know, they still care about winning games and they should have no reason to care. But yeah, you take away, if they all like the head coach and now, it depends on who they bring in because I think, Dan Quinn comes in, players love him. Sean Payton comes in, players respect him. Harbaugh, I don't know. What I do know is like Harbaugh's not some offensive genius. So that's really dependent on offensive coordinator, as is with Dan Quinn. We talked a little bit about Schottenheimer, Brian Schottenheimer. Again, like I said, why would he want to coach with Russ again? So I don't know what they do.
Rams.
Who is that? When I tweeted and I saw you responded that Broncos ownership is weighing the cost of resurrecting Vince Lombardi from the dead.
No. I'm
not joking. I think that's an option.
No, you don't get him. No.
Hey, if you're dead for 10 years, the team no longer has
Show me in the bylaws. Show it to me in the bylaws. That's what I want to see.
And that's the other thing with Sean Payton, right? He's still a saint. Like, you got to trade
trade the rights for him. Like, people keep on missing. They're like, oh, where is he going to sign next year? Wherever the Saints say you can go.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Tua was officially out for the Sunday. He did suffer a concussion, so Teddy Bridgewater is going to start.
Yeah. Tua in the concussion protocol. The Dolphins are equally screwed now.
Yeah, I don't know if they make the playoffs. They're playing the Jets and Patriots, so like it's gonna be bad. But anyway, to the point that we were making and kind of like wrapping this up a little bit, the Broncos in of itself, like they are in a very weird position because it happened so quickly. It was top of the world, threw a ton of money. These guys are going to save our franchises. You have a GM that is kind of a lame duck now, with how the way like the new reporting process is going to be, which is not a good look for the organization. And honestly, like that might be the only thing that's making him keep his job. He's like, listen, you're a yes man now, right? Yeah. You did this because this is your legacy. You brought in Hackett. You made this trade. That's your legacy right now. So we're going to try to fix it. If you're going to stay on this team, like you're reporting to me.
Yeah.
I imagine that's probably kind of how it went. So now it's like, okay, well, front office, there's question marks there. QB, there's all the questions there. What head coach are we going to bring in to try to save the franchise now? Let's see.
You gotta find somebody who commands respect.
Is that results. A Commanders reference? Okay, so you want Ron Rivera.
I'd take Ron Rivera.
I know you would take Ron Rivera.
I think he's a good coach. I mean, he hates Taylor Heineke for some reason, but he's a good coach.
Yeah. Yep.
Not openly, secretly. He's just like, As soon as I can bench this mother liquor, I'm doing it.
Yep. Carson Wentz getting the start, which is great news for me because, Carsey, come on, buddy. Throw some interceptions. I need you to lose. Appreciate you, Andrew. Yeah, Brent, speaking of power rankings.
Mine are late.
What have you been doing?
But I do have Tom's.
What?
And I do have Rachel's derpy logos.
I'm sorry. The Jaguars logo and the Bengals logo are like my favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
Sure, the Eagles one's really great too.
All the cat logos are solid.
The Jaguars is the cutest thing ever. The Bengals one, I absolutely love that design. And I love how it's like Buffalo is like bleeding out the mouth while it's running.
And that's just the Patriots. I was gonna say it looks like it's bleeding from underneath too, but that's the tail end of the Patriots guy.
Yep. So, are you saying the Packers are in your power rankings?
I'm saying these are teams that could possibly be in my power rankings. Correct.
How many? Oh God, how many teams are there?
Just straight up 14.
You have dem boys in the back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
So thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. They will be in the power rankings moving forward.
Do you have an issue with? First of all, can we also put that graphic back up? You didn't mess up any of my power rankings. You didn't mess up Grossi. You didn't mess up any of the logos. This actually might be this is actually the best representation of my rankings you've ever done.
Or did I curse it?
How'd you do that, Brandon? All right. So, what are your thoughts on the power rankings right now? Look at this list. I put the Jaguars up there. My honorable mention last week. I'm like, you know what? You guys deserve it.
I don't buy Niners as number one, but
it's between them and the Bills.
Yeah. I put the spoiler. I got the Bills at number 1 in mine.
It was between the Bills and the 49ers. And honestly, the 49ers, like, they just keep winning football games.
Yeah.
I think they're on an 8-game win streak.
It's like, I don't want to take anything away from Brock Purdy because he's doing a hell of a job. And I think he's going to continue to play well. But his lack of experience just scares me moving forward and for the postseason.
Sure.
That's it. And he could prove me wrong easily. Like, he's been that good, but like we kind of look at Nick Foles coming in, right, for the Eagles and going on that crazy run. But like, Nick Foles was a seasoned quarterback in the NFL.
I thought you meant talking about the Colts, and I was like, buddy, no.
But like, Purdy has all of the tools around him to succeed, and the Niners, good health pending, should just get stronger. With Debo coming back, Elijah Mitchell at some point, like, they're just gonna have so many weapons. They could easily. Who tweeted it? I think all is Adam Rank was like talking about the Packers going on this run to sneak back into the playoffs just so the 49ers could bounce them again in the first round.
Because we all know Bears fans can't even root for their own team. So.
Yeah. The 49ers are they're good. They're good. And Kittle, they finally started getting him the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Can't cover him. Can't cover McCaffrey. Debo comes back. Elijah comes back. Dangerous.
You put this out there like a TV personality. Like, let's go. Perna, let's just... Why aren't you taking over the Broncos? How are you not walking into a Walmart and going, here's my application? And you're like, sir, this says for head coach of the Denver Broncos. And you're like, make sure it gets to the right people.
That's hilarious.
That's a great skit, by the way. That's a great skit.
Yeah. It's I should get a Walmart application and
you write Broncos head coach.
Yeah, that's just like a image to post on Twitter.
I'm telling you, go viral. Do it.
Boom.
Take it. Run with it.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, your power rankings. You got the Jags at 10. I respect that. They might be a little higher in mine. Don't know yet. Here's who I wanted to talk about. The Ravens. The Ravens at 9 seems a little high. And the Ravens are a team who I am describing as the Broncos without Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Because their last 4 games, they're 3 of 4. They lost to the Browns. But their point totals in 3 victories,
trash.
17, 16, 10.
Yep.
That's how the Broncos have like lost all season. So I think the good news for Ravens fans is that means like
the defense
has gotten a lot better through the course of the season.
They're
should
running.
Get a big boost when Lamar comes back. But they're such a boring team right now without him. Like, I hate them right now.
They're running well. I mean, they had like 184 rushing yards, I think, on Saturday. But yeah, that's what I mean, though. It's like just like the defense is playing solid. So, I mean, it's basically like they're handcuffed to a furnace, which is Greg Roman, and it is constantly burning their hand, and they're still able to actually be functional and like paint something. So, yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We shall. Wait a minute, trainer. Why do you feel sorry for me? It's not my team. My team.
No, it's because you have to do a show with me. That's why.
All right, that's fair.
Go Chargers, go.
Go Chargers, go. Whoop! Appreciate you, trainer. Thank you.
Where'd you put the Cowboys? Oh,
they
7.
played the Rams.
We both have the Cowboys at 7. Another spoiler.
Probably won't keep Cobb. So.
What?
Probably won't keep Cobb, but we'll keep the rookies. But yes, they played the Rams. That's who the Broncos played. Continue.
Like the Packers win over the Rams looks a lot more impressive now that we see how good the Rams are.
Are they
basically? The Rams are the best team I personally have watched against the Broncos all season long. So your victory over them, Tom, pretty good.
Buddy, They let a last second comeback against the Raiders, who are crap. They've fallen off a cliff. And then
Hey,
they
don't
beat the crap out of the Denver Broncos. I
don't
don't know if they're that good. There you go. You got a fitty, buddy.
Wow, Joseph, thank you. Do not poo-poo on my Broncos defense, okay?
Buddy, I don't have to. They poo-pooed themselves and said, I don't want to play no more.
Yeah, I'm talking about the super chat. I'm talking about the Ravens fan.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, hold on. Let's get since you feel sorry for me. Hold on. Efforting.
No, it's the Bills! Buffalo all the way this time!
That's my new team.
Just like that, you curse the Bills again.
Yeah. I'm not saying that the Ravens aren't real. I'm saying I
don't think they're that good, but they've made the playoffs and they're going to get better. Just like what you're worried about Brock Purdy, the team's going to get better when Lamar Jackson comes back, and that should be relatively soon. But honestly, if I'm the Ravens, I'm not playing him this Sunday. Why? You clinched a playoff spot. You're going up against the Steelers, who are going to beat the crap out of him, right? So just save him. Get him some reps. Week 18. Throw him in there so he's fresh for the playoffs, and then have a nice day.
Yeah.
So
it's like maybe look.
Thank you, Trader.
That's hilarious.
That's what I said. I was like, why is it me my team's still fighting for the playoffs? There you go. Take care of that 50. You take care of that, Perna.
We ride and we die together.
So I know we keep this has literally been about all the Denver Broncos, but JJ Watt obviously announcing his retirement yesterday. One of the best, lots of stuff coming out, kind of just celebrating how good he is and was and what have you. This entire conversation that we were having about players not giving a crap and fans and things like that. Did you see what Ari shared from PFF? He shared yesterday, that clip. All right. It's like a minute 45, but it's really, really good. And I feel like you need somebody like this to say this for the Broncos.
If you can't come in and put work in the building, go out to the practice field and work hard, do your lifts and do what you're supposed to do, you should not be here. This is a job. We are getting paid a whole lot of money. There are a lot of people that watch us and invest their time and their money into buying our jerseys and buying a whole bunch of shit. And they care about it. They care every single week. We're in week 16 and we're 4-11. And there's fans that watch this game, that show up to the stadium, that put in time and energy and effort and care about this. So if you can't go out there and you can't work out, you can't show up on time, you can't practice, you can't want to go out there and win, you shouldn't be here. Because this is a privilege. It's the greatest job in the world. You get to go out and play a game. And if you can't care enough, even in week 17, even when you're trash, when you're 4-11, if you can't care enough to go out there and give everything you've got and try your hardest, that's bullshit. So that's how I think there are people every week that still tweet you, that still come up to you and say, hey, we're still rooting for you. We're still behind you. They have no reason whatsoever to. We stink. But they care. And they still want to win, and they still want you to be great. That's why. Those people aren't getting paid. We're getting paid handsomely. That's why. And that's who I feel the most bad for, is our fans and the people who care so deeply in the city, and the people who love it and who truly want it to be great. And it's not. And that sucks as a player, to know that we're not giving them what they deserve.
Some of those fans start YouTube channels and devote their entire life to talking about those teams. So I feel like JJ Watt was really just talking directly to us there, Tom. That's true.
Yeah,
you need that. You want every player to have that attitude, and you need a coach to make sure they keep that fire as well. I will say, I do question JJ Watt leaving the Texans for the Cardinals, though. Seems like he traded one dumpster fire for another. And I don't think it would have been better if he went to Pittsburgh, but he could have played with his brother. He could have played anywhere.
Could have gone back home. Could have gone back to Wisconsin.
Oh my, yeah, he could have been a Packer, which they could use right now because he was when he played the Broncos 2 weeks ago, unstoppable in the first half of that game.
Well, this week too.
He could be helping the Packers right now. Love JJ Watt's spirit, his fire. Question his decision making.
Well, I mean, they also like threw a ton of money at him.
Yeah,
like
I know. Money is there. And maybe he just went where he knew he'd be comfortable.
But also, like, to be fair, like the Cardinals, like they were undefeated for a good chunk of the season. Like last year. Like they were solid, and then it all fell apart.
Yeah, but he should have went to a trusted. Like the Cardinals are a team who they're gonna always. It seems like they'll always be a little streaky. They might catch fire this season. Could be the worst team next season. Go to a place like the Packers, the Steelers, could have been a Patriot probably. Go somewhere where you think we got the Niners, this history of success. JJ Watt's a guy who deserves some playoff success.
He does. But it happens. Listen, like some great players never get a ring, right? Like they don't have the playoff success, and it's just part of the business. And it's something, unfortunately, that like players who are really good, who are drafted really high, they sometimes go to very, very bad teams.
Oh, yeah. He could have went to Detroit. Man.
So, yeah. Listen, but the point that I'm making is not to like hound on the Broncos, but I feel like, you were mentioning like the fighting on the sidelines. Like it's good to see some fire. And like we know and we buy into our teams. And listen, like even when the Packers were sucking, I was buying in every single week. I was like, listen, like they're still my team. Like I still support them. I want things to change 1,000,000%. And maybe some people need to go, what have you. But I'm still buying in. And like next year, I know you're going to be rooting for the Broncos. But I think like you just need that leader that's going to come out because you don't have a Von Miller anymore. Right? You don't have like a guy who's coming out and being like, yes, like rah, rah, let's lead this team. And I think maybe like that's kind of one of the big problems too, because a lot of people, if you don't have that leader, look to the quarterback.
Yeah, it should be your QB. Should be. This is how you know you're a real fan, a real football fan. This year, bad. Sunday, heart ripped out, crushed, destroyed, stomped on, losing in just unfathomable way, losing in bad ways, and no hope by the end of the game on Sundays. Just complete. Everything is broken. Mad on Monday, less mad Tuesday. Come Sunday again at kickoff. Hey guys, I think we got a chance to win this week.
We beat the Chiefs.
I'm crazy, but I think we got a chance to win this game.
Yeah.
That was me every week this season. And I know in my brain it was not going to end well.
No.
But there's this part of this hope, this little fire's like, you know what, this team still can surprise you. And they almost did against the Chiefs, but like that's a really good fan base. Beat the piss out of them with every loss, and they show up not just to watch, but optimistic before they revert into fire everybody by the end of the game.
But I mean, like, and that's like, I got to give a lot of respect to their fan base. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their fans literally in week 18 dressed as clowns, Perna, for their own home game. And it was kind of the things, but if you attack their team, they're like, we'll destroy you. We attack our team. We criticize them, but it's because we have such a deep love for them, even though they beat the crap and piss out of us. Our owner is terrible, wants us to move us to London, but we still support that team. So if you come after us, like, nah, you're done. But like, I respect the Jaguars fan base for that.
Yeah, and they're not even like the strongest fan base in terms of like numbers or whatever, but they've got a loyal following, a cult loyal following. I really think I've been welcomed to the bottom by both Browns fans and Lions fans. And Lions, they're having a good season this year, but they're like, welcome to hell, buddy. You think this season was bad? Try doing that for the last 20 years, 30 years. I'm like, it's comforting to have that welcoming.
You have company. But like again, you take that I would rather take a fan base that get the crap beaten out of them every single year, and what have you, than the Washington fan base. Because like that one is not only is your team bad, and I'm not saying the fan base is bad. I'm saying not only the team bad, but your ownership makes it actively difficult for you to be a fan, whether it's in attendance, whether it's with the money that they're charging you, or the actions that they do. And that is like the worst case scenario, because you could still be a fan even if the level of play on the field isn't great. And you could have scapegoats, and you can fire people and head coaches and try new QBs and try all these things. When your owner is an issue, that's tough.
Yeah.
And they're actively making it harder for you to like the game and your team.
Yeah. I watched the Broncos press conference where Pinner and George Payton were talking about firing Hackett. And, it's just, they come out and they say all the right things.
But it doesn't mean anything.
Like, this is unacceptable. We let the fan base down. We're sorry. Like, all blah, 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 blah. They're saying all that shit, but like,
it doesn't mean anything.
Winning long-term in the NFL is very hard.
Yeah.
It is very hard. And you can say all of that stuff. You can throw money at it. Doesn't mean it's going to fix anything. And for like the first time in a long time, I have very little confidence that next season will be better. You know what I mean? Like, they can say they could tell me we are going to be the first team to spend $1 billion on personnel this year. I'd be like, I don't care. Like, show me that the team can, that the guys can stay healthy for 1 month. Like, show me that we're not going to repeat. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And can you now have the playoff drought after a Super Bowl win is like the longest in NFL history, right? Because it isn't like 7 years now, something like that. So like after winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
don't want to even think about it.
You and I have had that conversation many times though. It was like, listen, do you take years, a decade potentially of being crap, but you win a Super Bowl? And you said you've said many times, you're just like, you know what? It buys them 5 years. It buys them a lot of time. I guarantee you ask a Lions fan that, a Browns fan that, a Jaguars fan that, they will take that deal. Like, we've been bad for a lot longer than a decade. Like, we will take a Super Bowl win.
Yeah. They're like, they're in shape. They're working out every day. It's like, oh yeah, I can handle this. Give me one good season, I can do another 10. There's like a prison sentence. Like, let me come out for 1 day.
Let me go outside one day.
Make love to a woman, and then I'll go back in for another 10 years. I can do it. I'm serving a life sentence, guys. That 1 day will mean a lot to me.
Serving a life sentence. What are you in for? Lions fan. Oh man. Oh man.
That's what we need. Is we need a we're in prison segment for football fans.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much.
We really just talked about the Broncos today. What else?
Honestly, I thought it was a good episode for that. Yeah, we talked about Tua again. So we didn't. That's the one thing that we didn't. It makes it better. That's the one thing we didn't really talk about. How screwed are the Dolphins without Tua, because he is not going to be playing. It's Teddy Bridgewater. You're going against 2 divisional opponents. You're on a 4-game win streak. It's not good.
Loose streak.
It is not good at all. So
and you can succeed with Teddy Bridgewater, but we just saw the offense with Tua be a lot more efficient this season.
We've seen it with Teddy too.
Yeah. So, man, Dolphins falling quickly. And I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs.
And you know what? And it's funny too, because like talking to Dolphins fans and like seeing reactions and things like that, they're like, we really believed that they weren't going to choke in December. Because I feel like this happens all the time. Like, they just missed the playoffs, right? They go 10-6 1 year and they still miss the playoffs. And they're like, all right, well, now we got the 7 seed, and now you're the 7 seed. Like, yeah, it's rough. It's rough. And Rodgers was talking about this too, about potentially shutting down Tua for the rest of the year, just because, I mean, again, maybe you go on playoff run or whatever, because you have to start thinking long-term.
Like this is his second confirmed concussion, but it could be his third concussion this season. the Broncos shut Teddy down last year because of concussions, and we just know so much more about it. Like, I think maybe missing the playoffs this year is worth letting Tua be healthy, letting his brain fully heal. And that's when, I said, Russ should not play the week after his concussion. And I got a bunch of people chirping at me like, why don't you shut up? You're not a doctor. Not a doctor, idiot. Trust the medical staff, idiot. Guess what? Concussions don't heal fully after 7 days. So, I think it's in Tua's best interest to probably just shut it down. Because that was a game where he didn't take like some bad hit where it was noticeable for the concussion. That's why like he started having symptoms Monday. So it's probably just like an accumulation of wear and tear from the game, just taking shots and all that shit. And he doesn't have to take another serious blow to reactivate his already injured brain. So it's a tough decision from a football winning standpoint, but from like a human standpoint. And I think Mike McDaniel will probably just favor in keeping Tua healthy. And I think we've probably seen the last of him, even if Tua wants to play, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. So it'll be who's going to take their spot now in the AFC. I mean, like it might be the Jets or the Patriots, like could be Steelers. Like they still like one of those teams. And I'd rather see the Dolphins in than any one of those teams. From a viewing. I would want to see Tua versus Patrick Mahomes. Like I want to see that matchup, dude, Tyreek Hill coming back and playing an Arrow. Like I'd love it. I would 100% love it. I don't want to see the Teddy Bridgewater led, Dolphins against the Chiefs.
No. The Mike White Jets, though, I could get behind that.
Could be better. Yeah, could be. I mean, can't be worse than Zach Wilson, who's not even going to be playing. He's not even QB2. There's like, nope, buddy. You ain't doing it. You ain't doing it. Yeah. So we'll see, though. I mean, again, it'll still be an interesting playoffs. Like these next 2 weeks, we'll talk about this on Friday and kind of preview some of the games. But even tomorrow's game, you have Titans and Cowboys. Like that's big. That's big for playoffs. So in Titans, I mean, listen, the Titans, like it doesn't matter as much because they could lose this game and still win the division if they beat the Jaguars in week 18. But, in terms of like seeding, in terms of like for the Cowboys and seeing, because they still technically could win the division. Technically they could.
If they win out and the Eagles lose out, is that how it kind of happens?
Yeah. Because the Eagles have lost to the Commanders and the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have a better divisional record. It's just overall record.
Yeah. And is Jalen Hurts going to be out again this week?
I don't know if he's going to be playing.
We don't know, man.
But that's another scenario. It's like, listen, even if you don't get the first seed, like, just let it rock. Like, just keep Jalen Hurts healthy for the playoffs because then you'll be a problem. You might even be a bigger problem if you don't have the 1 seed. So, because like, there's always, trust me, as a Packers fan, there's always is it better to have a bye week and like take that week off? Or is it better to just play straight through and play that additional game just to get that momentum? Because it's a real thing. Momentum is a real thing.
Yeah. The best case scenario is the Eagles win with Minshew this week. And if they can win out with Minshew and get that bye and give Hurts his shoulder basically a full month to have healed.
Yeah.
Or 5 weeks even, I think.
They have to win just one more, and that's it. I think it's just one more. And they get
one more win, and they're in?
I'm pretty sure that's it.
They clinched the one?
They clinched.
Yeah, like, I think a bye would actually benefit them in terms of just letting Hurts' shoulder rest for one more week. But normally, I kind of agree. There's that weird momentum thing. You kind of, I don't know.
Trust me, I know. We won it as a wild card spot. Like, I know. I don't know.
Yeah, the only team that never seemed to affect was the Patriots.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. But all right, Perna, look at us. We went 69 minutes. Nice. Nice. What do you got coming out today after putting out all the content?
Power rankings will be up as soon as I can get them up. Gotta finish writing, shooting, editing, but they'll be there.
Beautiful. Last night at like 11 p.m. Eastern, released the South Saga, so only 2 episodes of that left, and we also had power rankings today. It will be the members Q&A So YouTube members, Patreon, that's gonna be at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. I'll put the link in the community tab and also on Patreon, and predictions later. And tomorrow, the last Thursday night football game of the year.
Thank God.
You're thank Godding. You're thank God.
I just don't want to have it on at my house anymore.
Masks.
And no Saturday games this week. Yes.
No, I've told people, like, I have 2 Saturdays left until the end of February. That's it. Like, that's all I have. That's the only free, because once those playoffs start, bye-bye. Life. But folks, we appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to Brandon Perna and That's Good Sports, who's this close from getting 350,000, getting on trending once again this season.
Just absolutely so trend-worthy these days.
Crushing it. But folks, thanks for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is GPS. And you've been navigated.
And you've reached your destination where everything you love has been fired by Walmart.